La patrie ou la mort? Nous vaincrons. Qu'est-ce que nous voulons? La paix. Support. Ibrahim Traoré. Qu'est-ce que nous voulons? La paix. La patrie ou la mort? Nous vaincrons. Qu'est-ce que nous voulons? La paix. Qu'est-ce que nous voulons? La paix. Support.
Hello and welcome. Today we're delving into a deeply concerning situation regarding a recent alleged failed assassination attempt against Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the interim president of Burkina Faso. This event, said to have occurred in late April 2025, paints a stark picture of the volatility and immense pressures facing the leadership in this West African nation. This isn't just about one isolated incident. It serves as a critical window into the multifaceted crises gripping Burkina Faso today. We're talking about a relentless jihadist insurgency that has ravaged the country, complex internal power dynamics, significant shifts in geopolitical alliances, and a leader seemingly determined to carve out a path of national sovereignty against formidable internal and external challenges. In this overview, we will carefully examine the details surrounding this alleged assassination attempt. We'll explore the background that led Captain Traoré to power, the specific circumstances reported, the investigation that reportedly followed, the swirling speculation about potential perpetrators, and the far-reaching implications this event could have not only for Burkina Faso, but for the entire Sahel region. We'll also look into the reported history of threats against Captain Traoré and how his government is navigating this dangerous landscape. Our aim is to offer a comprehensive understanding of the situation as it has been presented. Let's start by establishing the context. Who is Captain Ibrahim Traoré and what are the circumstances under which he governs? He came to power in September 2022. His ascension wasn't through the ballot box, but via a military coup, notably the second such takeover Burkina Faso had witnessed in that year alone. He removed Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, who himself had seized power just 8 months prior, citing the previous government's inability to stem the tide of escalating violence overwhelming the nation. Since taking charge, Captain Traoré's administration has been navigating treacherous waters. Burkina Faso, much like its neighbors Mali and Niger, finds itself embroiled in a devastating conflict against violent extremist groups, many linked to global networks like Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State. This insurgency has resulted in widespread devastation, displacing millions of people from their homes, triggering a severe humanitarian crisis, and effectively eroding the state's control over significant portions of its own territory. In reaction to this crisis, Traoré's strategy appears focused on two central pillars. First, a major effort to bolster the nation's military capabilities, and second, a determined push to assert Burkina Faso's national sovereignty. This has reportedly involved large-scale recruitment campaigns, such as the controversial Volunteer for the Defense of the Fatherland, or VDP program, initiatives to better equip the armed forces, and adopting a more assertive, sometimes confrontational, posture in international affairs. A significant element of this sovereignty drive has been the re-evaluation and subsequent deterioration of relationships with traditional international partners. The most prominent example is France, the former colonial ruler, which has historically maintained significant military and political influence in the region. Understanding this shift away from traditional alliances and towards greater self-reliance is absolutely crucial for grasping the political dynamics and the potential sources of tension surrounding Traoré's leadership. Now let's focus on the core event, the alleged failed assassination attempt itself. This incident reportedly occurred on a Thursday evening in late April 2025. It specified that unidentified assailants targeted President Traoré during what was described simply as a routine movement within the confines of the capital city, Ouagadougou. While the precise details of how the attack unfolded remain unclear, two particularly significant points emerge. First, the attackers were reportedly well-planned and well-equipped. This description suggests a certain level of sophistication, organization, and access to resources, pointing away from a spontaneous act and towards a premeditated operation. Second, the president's security forces are credited with a rapid and effective response, successfully thwarting the attack and ensuring Traoré's safety. The mere fact that such an attempt could allegedly occur, especially within the capital city, the very heart of government power, sends powerful shockwaves. It implies that the threats facing the president are not merely confined to distant conflict zones, but can manifest right at the center of political authority. It underscores the intense security environment and the constant state of vigilance under which the nation's leadership must operate. It also serves as a stark reminder of the overall fragility of the security situation, even in Ouagadougou, which is generally considered more secure than other parts of the country. Although Traoré reportedly emerged unharmed, the incident undoubtedly caused significant alarm throughout Burkina Faso, and certainly raised concerns among regional neighbors and international observers monitoring the Sahel's precarious stability. Following such a grave security breach targeting the head of state, the immediate and necessary follow-up involves investigation and the pursuit of accountability. Burkinabe authorities launched an investigation promptly after the alleged incident. However, it's important to note that up to this point, no official statement has been issued publicly identifying the individuals or groups responsible, nor have their definitive motives been declared. This kind of information vacuum often fuels rumor and speculation. Despite the lack of official pronouncements regarding the masterminds, concrete actions have apparently been taken. Several individuals have reportedly been arrested in connection with the plot. Significantly, these arrests are said to include both military personnel and foreign nationals. The alleged involvement of members of the military inevitably raises concerns about potential dissent, factionalism, or instability within the very security apparatus responsible for protecting the state. A particularly worrying prospect for any leader, but especially one who himself came to power through military means. The mention of foreign nationals being arrested immediately fuels questions about possible external interference or involvement, a theme that resonates strongly with the broader political narrative regarding sovereignty and foreign relations. The investigation is stressed as being very much ongoing. Authorities are reportedly working diligently to uncover the extent of the plot and the involvement of any external actors. The findings of this investigation, whenever they are made public, will be incredibly significant. They could shed light on the true nature and origin of the threat against Traoré, potentially validate or dispel the circulating speculation, and possibly reshape Burkina Faso's internal political landscape as well as its relationships with other countries. In the absence of official conclusions from the investigation, speculation naturally rushes in to fill the void. Several lines of conjecture have emerged surrounding this alleged assassination attempt. Given Burkina Faso's turbulent context, these theories tend to fall into predictable, yet entirely plausible categories. First, suspicion points towards extremist factions. The jihadist groups actively waging war against the Burkinabe state certainly possess the motivation to eliminate the head of state. Such an act would represent a major propaganda victory for them, potentially destabilize the government's counter-insurgency strategy, and sow fear among the population. Captain Traoré's strong emphasis on military action makes him a primary target for these violent organizations. Second, the possibility of involvement by political rivals has been raised. Burkina Faso's recent history is marked by political instability and military coups. It's conceivable that power struggles within the political or military elite, or perhaps elements remaining loyal to previous regimes overthrown by Traoré or Damiba, might see Traoré's removal as advantageous to their own ambitions. The reported arrest of military personnel in connection with the plot lends some weight to this line of thinking, suggesting the threat might originate at least partly from within the system itself. Third, and perhaps the most politically charged area of speculation, questions have been raised about the potential involvement of foreign powers. France has been specifically mentioned, referencing the documented tensions between Traoré's administration and the former colonial power. Specific accusations previously leveled by Traoré's government have resurfaced, alleging that France has been channeling weapons through Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara's network. Whether these accusations hold factual basis or not, they reflect a deep-seated suspicion and an anti-French sentiment that has been a recurring theme in the political discourse under Traoré's leadership. The reported arrest of foreign nationals, although their specific nationalities have not been mentioned, further fuels this speculation about external meddling. However, it is crucial to stress that these remain unconfirmed theories pending the official outcome of the investigation. Strikingly, this alleged incident in late April 2025 was reportedly not an isolated event, but rather part of a disturbing pattern. It's claimed that Captain Traoré has survived at least 19 attempts on his life since assuming power in September 2022. 19 alleged attempts in approximately 2.5 years. If this figure is accurate, it is simply staggering. It portrays a leader operating under constant, unrelenting and potentially lethal threat. Adding another layer to this, it suggested that some of these previous plots involved not just disgruntled individuals, but also soldiers and activists, allegedly receiving financial backing from foreign entities. This claim reinforces the recurring themes of internal dissent, possibly merging with external interference, echoing the concerns raised in the context of the most recent reported attempt. The reported frequency and the alleged sophistication of these attempts serve multiple narrative functions. They dramatically underscore the profound instability and the extremely dangerous environment in which Captain Traoré must lead. They implicitly justify the necessity for robust, perhaps even highly restrictive security measures surrounding the president and the entire state apparatus. Furthermore, they contribute to constructing a narrative of a leader besieged by numerous enemies, both domestic and foreign, locked in a struggle not just for his personal survival, but for the survival of his government and its vision for Burkina Faso's sovereignty. Whether the number 19 is precisely accurate or represents an estimate reflecting numerous uncovered plots and threats, it powerfully highlights the perilous reality of leadership in Burkina Faso today. What, then, are the wider repercussions of this latest alleged failed assassination attempt? The implications extend beyond the immediate security concerns, impacting Burkina Faso internally and influencing its relationships within the West African region. Internally, the incident serves as a stark illustration of the ongoing challenges and threats faced by Traoré's administration in maintaining stability and security. Every such attempt, even if ultimately unsuccessful, has the potential to chip away at public confidence, create uncertainty that can deter much-needed investment and possibly embolden opponents of the regime. It inevitably forces the government to dedicate more resources and focus towards presidential security, potentially diverting critical attention and funds away from other urgent national priorities, such as addressing the severe humanitarian crisis, stimulating economic development, or expanding basic services. The very idea that the capital city, the seat of government power, could be targeted in this manner serves as a potent reminder of the state's underlying vulnerability despite its declared focus on military strength. Regionally, this incident has reportedly heightened tensions, particularly regarding Burkina Faso's interactions with its neighbors and traditional regional organizations. This occurs against the backdrop of Burkina Faso's significant recent foreign policy realignment. Its decision, taken alongside Mali and Niger, both also led by military figures who came to power via coups, to withdraw from the long-established economic community of West African states, ECOWAS. These three nations have instead forged their own pact, known as the Alliance of Sahel States, AES. This move was met with skepticism and concern from some regional leaders within the wider West African community, an event like an alleged presidential assassination attempt, especially one where foreign nationals are reportedly arrested or where it becomes linked, even through accusations, to regional power dynamics, such as the mentioned claims involving neighboring Ivory Coast, can place further strain on already delicate diplomatic relationships. It has the potential to deepen the emerging divide between the AES bloc and the remaining ECOWAS member states. If cooperation falters and mutual suspicion grows, this could lead to increased instability in the region. Therefore, this alleged attempt isn't merely a domestic Burkinabe affair. It intertwines with the complex and shifting geopolitical landscape across the entire West African region. How has Captain Traoré's government responded to this challenging environment of persistent threat? The leadership, despite the evident danger, appears resolute in its stated objectives. Traoré is described as remaining steadfast in his mission to protect Burkina Faso's sovereignty. The government's approach seems to follow two main tracks. On one hand, it involves decisive security actions cracking down on conspirators. This likely encompasses the ongoing investigations, the arrests already made, and possibly the implementation of even stricter security protocols designed to neutralize perceived threats, whether they originate from within the country or from external sources. On the other hand, alongside these security measures, the administration is reportedly simultaneously pushing forward with initiatives aimed at uniting the nation. While specifics about these initiatives aren't provided, their stated goal is presumably to foster national cohesion, build popular consensus, and consolidate public support as a counterbalance to the instability and the threats the government faces. This strategy appears to have yielded some positive results, with observations that the president's perceived resilience and determination have earned him support from many Burkinabés. These citizens tend to view him as a strong leader, willing to take bold action to protect the country's interests, particularly its independence and sovereignty. This popular backing, if widespread and durable, represents a crucial political asset for Captain Traoré as he navigates the immense security challenges and political tensions surrounding his rule. In conclusion, the situation paints a compelling, if concerning, picture of a nation and its leader standing at a critical crossroads. The alleged failed assassination attempt on Captain Ibrahim Traoré in late April 2025 acts as a potent symbol of the deep-rooted and multifaceted security challenges confronting Burkina Faso. It starkly highlights the dangerous convergence of threats emanating from violent jihadist groups, potential internal political rivals, and the intricate, often tense web of regional and international relations, particularly the strained ties with former colonial power France and the strategic realignment represented by the formation of the Alliance of Sahel States. The investigation into this specific alleged incident is of paramount importance, but it occurs within a broader context of recurring threats reportedly faced by Captain Traoré since he took power. His administration's response, characterized as a combination of firm security crackdowns and efforts towards national unity, all framed under the banner of defending national sovereignty, continues amidst this clearly perilous environment. There is no doubt that significant challenges persist and likely lie ahead, demanding sustained vigilance both within Burkina Faso and from the international community observing the region. Stemming from this situation, several recommendations logically arise as potential pathways forward, acknowledging the seriousness of the challenges described. First, increased security measures appear fundamental. The Burkinabe government must continue to make the physical security of the president and other high-ranking officials a top priority. This likely entails more than just increasing the number of guards. It points towards the need for enhanced intelligence-gathering capabilities to preempt future plots and a continuous refinement of security protocols to adapt effectively to ever-evolving threats. Second, regional cooperation remains crucial. Despite current political tensions and Burkina Faso's departure from ECOWAS alongside Mali and Niger, continued support for efforts aimed at fostering regional cooperation and diplomacy is advisable. The complex border-crossing nature of the Sahel's most pressing security problems, especially the pervasive jihadist insurgency, inherently requires collaborative solutions. This might involve working through existing regional structures where feasible, or perhaps exploring new channels for dialogue and coordinated action among all nations in West Africa to address shared threats. Third, and arguably addressing the most fundamental level, tackling the underlying issues driving instability, is paramount. For any lasting stability to be achieved, the government of Burkina Faso must proactively address the root causes. The violence and political turmoil do not arise in a vacuum. Deep-seated problems such as widespread poverty, systemic corruption, a lack of viable economic opportunities for the youth, and inadequate access to essential public services like education and healthcare create conditions where extremism can flourish and popular discontent can easily be exploited. Addressing these fundamental socio-economic and governance deficits is essential for building a foundation for durable peace and genuine security in the country. The situation in Burkina Faso, reflected in the concerns surrounding the alleged failed assassination attempt against Captain Traoré, remains undeniably complex, sensitive, and subject to rapid change. It serves as a powerful reminder of the profound and interconnected challenges facing not just one nation, but the entire Sahel region. We will certainly continue to follow developments closely, relying on verified information as it becomes available. Thank you for listening.